HamRadioConcepts presents another exciting amateur radio video, keeping ham radio operators informed with a thorough look at the new products. Now, here's your host, Eric, KJ4YZI.
What's up, YouTube? This is Eric with HamRadioConcepts, and I have the video for you today. This is the new Icom IC-7300 HF and 6-meter transceiver with the addition of 4-meter receive. That's 70 megahertz receive. Has a wide range of receive. They show you the guaranteed bands, the guaranteed frequencies, and the total frequencies of what this radio will do. This radio comes from gigaparts.com. And the link is in the description. Gigaparts.com had loaned me this radio to make a video for my YouTube channel to show all of you people what this radio is about and how cool it is. So check out gigaparts.com if you're interested in this radio. So the first thing you're interested in is this nice, beautiful 4.3-inch color touchscreen on this radio. It looks unlike any other radio that you're normally used to seeing or using. And this radio is the first direct sampling software-defined radio with A to B converter and FPGA. So it is all contained into one unit. You don't have to tie up a whole computer or have a computer operating this thing for modulation and tuning and all the functions. It's all built into this box. So you can take this out on field day. You can take this to use at a remote location. You can use it at home without having a whole computer tied up with it. So you can still have your computer going for logging and stuff and use this just as a radio. As I said with the touchscreen, I'll go right into the features here. Very easy to read with the size of this, okay? And it's as easy as just tapping the frequency and selecting the band that you want. Now you can just scroll right through the band, okay? You can change your step size just by changing it right here on the screen, okay? If you want a smaller step size, you can do it that way. The mode, upper sideband, I could change that to AM right now. Okay, that easy. I could also, the biggest thing that people want to see is this spectrum scope. Now, the spectrum scope will show you in real time as you scroll all the way across the band so you can find the activity. So for instance, because of my antenna situation and the time of day, we're going to go down here to 30 meters, and I just want to go up here to where the CW is and show you. You can see on the scope here where all the action is way up here. Alright, so you can find, let's change this to CW. Okay, so you can see the action right here on the screen as you scroll. Plenty of filtering on this radio just by tapping the filter button right here. I could change the width of the signal. I can shift. Okay, I have plenty of additional filtering on here. If you go into function, it's right here on the screen. If you want to turn the preamp or the attenuator on, okay, if you want to turn the noise blanker on, you just tap it. Noise reduction, and that's also available right here on the buttons too. But just as fast, just to go right in here and turn the notch filter on. Okay, but let me show you this. Here's the menu, okay, and much like something else as far as my FT450, I have to go into the menu and I have to scroll through the functions I want, find it, go into the function, adjust it, come out of the function, go across the menu or exit. Here's a lot of the features right here. If I wanted to check this out, audio scope. I can now, if I was in voice mode on, say, 40 meters, I can check out the audio scope here, audio waveform of the signal that I'm receiving, the width of the signal, and the spectrum analyzer, the spectrum scope, all on the same screen. That is cool. If you go down here, let me show you this. We'll go down to shortwave real quick. You see how I can find it? Look at that. I can find the station. See the scope moving? Okay, so we'll go up here, and I'll go to this station. I think I lost it. There it is. Right here.
you think you've waited too late? Nearly 60% of working Americans don't have a
I can find the center of that because, see, I can listen to it here.
On just their Social Security.
But you can see on the scope right there, much like a PSK waterfall, I could find the
answer your questions and help you make that plan.
center of that frequency right there.
DaveRamsey.com.
And might I add, the speaker on this radio,
get online and make sure you'll be ready for your retirement.
Is absolutely phenomenal. Very bassy with some tone, good fidelity. I mean, it's one thing about some of these HF transceivers, especially like my FT450. Again, I keep referencing that because the FT450 is nothing like this radio, but that's what I have. I've used FT950s. I've used a lot of other radios, Icoms and Yaesus, and Kenwoods. But the speaker of this is just like a desktop or tabletop stereo.
All the time. Visit the online store at DaveRamsey.com.
So if you get a good, if you're on HF, you get a good HF signal, which I have some antenna issues, but and the 40 right now is not the best, but you'll be able to hear it without having to get an external speaker, much like I have to do, because the speaker in mine's very tinny, and with the static and stuff, it's just it's hard to listen to. This thing here is just a pleasure.
255.
The receiver on this is very sensitive. It does pick up a lot more than my HF would. I'm sure it picks up a lot more. And I'm sure it's comparable to something like a Flex or an Anand with the circuitry inside this radio. But I have noticed that when I had mine on earlier, hooked up to this same antenna, I have I have less sensitive receive than this thing. This thing really pulls out the signals, and tuning across the band here definitely makes it easy with that scope to find your signals. And the good thing about this, the spectrum analyzer, is you can see where noise would be. Let me show you this. You'll be impressed on this. I have some noise in the area. It might be from my house. I've had the power company out here. I still think it's power company, but check this out. Look at my noise floor on 80 meters. Look how high that noise floor is. I mean, it's really up there. Something like, and it's only on the lower bands. Something like 10 meters is very quiet. You can see how quiet that is. No action on 10 meters at this time. But, going to 80 meters here, look at that. I got some noise. And if you're into tracking noise, well, the spectrum analyzer might help you zone in exactly where that noise is coming from, the spectrum scope. You can see exactly what it's doing, too. And you can see that one's jumping back and forth. That might be something oscillating in the house or something, but very cool. You can even hear it. I don't know what that is, but that's definitely a bad part of 80 meters for me. With the scope, you can actually touch to move to a frequency that you might see on there with activity. So we'll go here to you'll see this over here. You tap it and then you move right there where you want to go. There you go. There you go. And if you see something else, you just tap on the screen. So on the scope, if you want to slow it down, if that's going too fast for you, the number 1 and number 2, the number 1 here will bring you into the second list here. We can go to speed and we can bring it to mid, so it goes a little slower so you can see a slower refresh rate, or slow. That way if you're looking across here and you want to, have a better idea without it going too fast, you can slow that down. I like to keep it on fast. That way I get to see what's going on. Let's say you don't want all the scopes on the screen. Scope button down here, you can choose to add the spectrum scope or take it away. You could also go into the menu and add only the audio scope. So that way you have your frequency readout, signal power meter, and your audio scope. So let's talk about some of the other functions here available on the front panel. So you'll see the button over here. You do have an internal antenna tuner to match your antenna. And on the back, I'll show you here in a little bit, the back of the radio does have a 4-pin Molex connector that Icom used on previous radios, so you can hook up your AH4 automatic antenna tuner, your Icom, on the back of the radio if you choose to use that. Vox for voice operated transmit, your headphone jack right on the front. Okay, 8-pin Icom microphone, and with this radio, Icom released, it is a brand new hand mic, the mic that comes with this. Down here, a SD card reader. This SD card reader can be used to record some audio samples, so you don't have to run this into a computer sound card. You can save the audio of what you're listening to right to the SD card and extract that on a computer. And that might be used for some firmware updates, I'm not sure, but we'll have to read into that. And you got the buttons down here on the bottom for menu and function stuff. You also have some other ones here. Okay, so you can change, you know, if you notice here on the audio waveform, if it's a very strong and wide signal, you can tone it down so that you can see what it looks like more accurately on the audio scope there. I can tone that down, and then it'll be more of a readable signal on there with the peaks thing. So that way I can judge the audio on that. So you could also hold it with the hold button. So now I can see when I exactly at the right time, I could hold that and see where the peaks are and what the audio looks like with the hold. Okay, pretty cool. As well as a attenuator for the audio width here. I can attenuate that 10 dB, 20 dB, 30 dB. And when I'm in sideband, the filtering up here, I can go from 3 kilohertz wide, 2.4 kilohertz wide, 1.8 kilohertz wide. Just with the touch of a button on the filter button here. And then I can shift. There we go. I can shift that one way or another, so I can eliminate QRM or really dial into that station with the filtering on here, and the way you can get right into that station and avoid everything else that's in your way is just is incredible. The knob on this thing turns like liquid. I mean, this is liquid smooth. This thing rolls. Very easy to use, and you see if I just touch this here, I can blast through frequencies. Look at this. Blast all the way up. Not a hassle to tune. Okay. VFO A, VFO B. So you have two different VFOs. Okay. Memories over here, VFO mode or memory mode. I don't have no memories in now. But memories would be good for 10 meter repeaters and 6 meter repeaters. That's typically what I use memories for, because you never know where there's going to be action on the HF band. You could be on the upper part of 20 meters or lower. You never know where there's going to be a frequency with action. So I typically use the memories for maybe a net, you know, 7153s, the Treasure Coasters net, and that's every morning. So you can set memories in here. The multi-knob up here, if you push the multi-knob, brings you right into different settings such as RF power. You can set your RF power right here on the screen. Mic gain, compression, monitor. Okay, so you can set all these right here on the multi-knob by pushing it in, and then pushing it again brings you right back to the main screen. What I like about this RF gain and squelch knob is if you look here on the power meter, signal meter, okay, there's my squelch. You see the little thing moving across? I can squelch it all the way up. Now when I hit 0 and go the other way, it turns into RF gain. Now you can turn the RF gain down. There's some radios you can only set one or the other to that. I like how it's kind of a dual purpose. Right at the middle. Okay, so left would be RF gain, right would be your squelch. Pretty neat. Okay. So I got two CW stations here on 10 megahertz on 30 meters. I have all the filtering mostly turned off. So watch this. If I want to zoom into one of them, let's pick the guy that's in the background there, not so loud, okay? Let's try to get him in there. So see that? Took out the other station right there. Now, I'm no CW expert, but I do know that on my radio, my HF radio, it's a little bit harder to do that. But there I go. The other guy that's right next to him is not even being heard. Okay, so watch this. You won't believe your eyes. This is cool. So you have a CW station, and you're trying to tune him in, but you just can't find him. Can't find where the perfect frequency would be, okay? Let's see this auto-tune button. Watch this. Look at that. Put it right on where it needs to be. Let's go find another one. Auto-tune. With the preamp, it's got a two-stage preamp on here, so you'll see he's giving me about an S5. I can turn on preamp 1. He's now an S9. Preamp 2. Just over an S9 at peaks. And you'll see that the scope comes up too and brings in, of course, some of the background white noise on the noise floor. But you know, for the distant stations, the preamp will pick them right up. Let's check out the speech. So if I'm on a frequency and I want to hear where I'm at.
At 57.094 megahertz, LSB.
Okay, so it will read out the frequency and the settings, lower sideband, filter 1, VFOA. Go into the menu here, and we have voice transmit. So now, if you've seen my video of the MFJ voice keyer with the 5 banks, that's on my YouTube channel, this has that built in. So now I can set 8 transmit messages on here, and I can program them to be however I want. So if I'm contesting one day or I'm calling CQ, I could do this all without having an outboard voice keyer. I could change the transmit level of that if it's too hot or too loud. Done right here on the front of the radio. Very cool. The meters, let me talk about the meters here. So, like again, in reference to my FT450, I have to have 1 meter going at a time. I could be a signal and power meter, it could be an ALC, or it could be an SWR. You'll notice on here I have my signal/power meter here, but I also have my ALC, my compression, and my SWR right here, okay? So I can see it all right there, as well as the current drain on the bottom, the voltage right here, 10 to 16 volts, and the temperature, cool or hot. So in a contesting day, this thing may run a little warm, the temperature will go up, but it has built-in cooling in here, so it'll stay just as cool as it needs to be, automatically temperature controlled in case you're long-winded or you're on the key a long time. It'll cool itself down, so no worries. So let's go back into the menu here and check this out. SWR, okay? Very cool. Now I can see my SWR graph, okay, from 1.0 to 1 to 3.0 to 1 in the bottom here, and where my dip is. So from 7.074 to 7.114, I can see my SWR curve, okay? And then I could hit play if there was data, and it would show me on there what my SWR would be. Okay, that is pretty neat. Without having to hook up the analyzer, I can look at it right here and say, yeah, well, right here it's just a little bit, you know, the flat spot is about 10 kcs up. Let's go back in here and check out, well, here's your memories here. This would be for memories, so you can have all your memories set, touchscreen, and just tap on one of them, and there it is. All right, we don't have any memories set, so I'll bypass that. We can scan, have scan functions. Let's talk about the record. Now check this out, a QSO recorder. You might see something like that in your ID51, where you can record, or my ID51 or ID5100 D-Star radios, you can record the QSO. You can do the same thing here, okay? And you could also save these recordings onto the SD card. So that way, you can keep a recording of maybe a contest or somebody on a DX contest, a DX contact, or a 10-meter FM contact, or what have you. You can keep all that for future in the SD card. In the set, you can go ahead and set all your parameters for this in the set menu. Tone control, you have a receive or transmit on sideband AM or FM. I could set the bass, the treble. It's got a built-in EQ, guys. Check that out. Okay, no need for a W4IHY externally. You can set all that here. You don't even have to buy a mic with filtering. So you can go into different settings for sideband or AM. Okay, the display. You can check out the LCD backlight and turn it right up like this. You want it nice and bright, you turn it up. Okay, we'll turn it down just for video purposes. Display type, A or B. Display font, you have round or basic font. Okay. Let's go back to here. Connectors. Now check this out. The USB jack in the back can be used to control the radio. It can be used for audio in and out, full audio in and out from the USB connector, and you can set all those here. So you can set the radio up with the USB for remote IP control of the radio. So it's kind of like having Ham Radio Deluxe and an interface with your radio. You can do it all with the IP software and a USB cable. And there you go, you can operate your radio remotely. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. All the other functions you have in here for the beeps and stuff like that. Time set, SD card, okay, screen captures. So with the SD card, you can actually capture what's on the screen. If you're getting a really strong signal, you can capture it, save it to the SD card, say, check this out. Look at all the activity on this scope, or look how strong the signal was, or this is what you looked like on my receive with the audio waveform and the spectrum scope. So that's pretty cool. Touchscreen calibration to make sure the edges. That's a good thing because, you know, your fingers may be bigger than mine or smaller than mine. For the most part, I haven't calibrated this thing. It's been spot on, but sometimes, you know, something way over here in the corner just doesn't register, and you end up hitting it 5 or 6 times to get it. Well, you can calibrate that. 6-meter capability, transmit and receive, and like I said, we can go up all the way up, if you're familiar with 4 meters, 70 megahertz, okay? All the way up to 74.8. Looking at the back, you'll see your nice size fan here that keeps that thing running cool, temperature controlled circuit, so it's got some good ventilation. Your power connector in the back, your SO239, your earth ground. Make sure you ground your stuff. The 4-pin Molex connector I was telling you about. This is for your AH4 auto tuner from Icom. It does have a send and ALC jack on the back. your key for your CW key. Down here is your external speaker, which I don't think you'll need with the speaker that's built into this thing. It does sound terrific. Down here you have your remote CI-V for your cat control, as well as the USB. So the USB can be used, again, for audio input and output, as well as IP control with the specified software to control your rig remotely. So you could also use that for PSK, digital modes, right through the USB port, through Ham Radio Deluxe, or whatever software will utilize a COM port for that. And your accessory, that's a 13-pin accessory port for different things. Well guys, it's been fun checking this radio out. So much to cover, but so much time in a video. I want to thank Gigaparts again, www.gigaparts.com. I want to thank all the subscribers for the comments. And please, what do you think of this radio? Comment below. Give me a thumbs up. Like us on Facebook. The video will be on Facebook as well. Facebook.com/HamRadioConcepts. And I hope to have more product like this. The more thumbs up, the more activity I get, the more product I can give to you this way to give you an idea of what you're looking to invest in. And this, I tell you what, I'm a Yaesu diehard, but this might have changed my mind. So check out my other videos. I do have some videos coming up of some other software-defined radios, such as ANAN, Apache Labs. So check out the videos, and 7.3. Thanks for watching. From KJ4YZI.
This has been another exciting amateur radio video presented by Ham Radio Concepts. Subscribe today on YouTube. Search Ham Radio Concepts, all one word.